Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. This is Radio. You're listening to Radio Ramadan 87.7 FM with your host and brother and friend Molana Muaaz. Now, this is the iftar hour or the iftar show where we discuss points about the Quran and we try to increase our connection with the Quran. Now, before I go into the section that we read in Taraweeh over the weekend, as always, I mentioned some points, some virtues about the Quran that we should try to implement and that will increase our love for the Quran so that we can connect more with this blessed book of Allah Ta'ala. So today I'd like to mention a hadith and a dua that we can recite, that we can say to Allah Ta'ala. And this is the dua that's mentioned in the Musnad of Imam Ahmad, and it has been graded as authentic by various ulama. And I want you, dear listeners, I want you to memorize this dua if you can. And maybe if you don't memorize the Arabic, at least learn the English meaning. And it's a very profound dua. And it goes, Allahumma inni abduk, wabnu abdik, wabnu amatik. So firstly, we are saying to Allah Ta'ala, Oh Allah, I am your slave, and the son of your male slave, and the son of your female slave. Nasiyati biyadik. My forehead is in your hand, meaning you have full control over all of my affairs. Madin fiya hukmuk. Your judgment upon me is assured. It's already set. Adlun fiya qada'uk. And your decree concerning me is just. Meaning it's a fair decree. As'aluka bi kulli ismin huwa lak. I ask you by every name that you have named yourself with. Sammayta bihi nafsak. Yeah, you have named yourself with. أو أنزلته في كتابك. So أسألك بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك. Revealed in your book. أو علمته أحدا من خلقك. Taught any one of your creation. أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك. Or kept unto yourself in the knowledge of the unseen that is with you. That is just the part before the actual dua commences. This is talking about Allah, saying who Allah is, what He has done for us, calling Him by every name that He has named Himself, that He has revealed in the Quran, that He has taught to everyone, that He has kept with Himself, even the names that we don't know, the names in the unseen realm. We are asking by every single name of Allah Ta'ala. It's a very powerful dua. It's a very emotional dua. Then the main part, As'aluka, the main part starts now. أن تجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي. To make, so I ask you to make the Quran the spring of my heart. And we'll go into a bit what that means later on. أن تجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي. If you want to shorten the dua, you may also even say اللهم اجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي. So here, أن تجعل القرآن ربيع قلبي. To make the Quran the spring of my heart. ونور صدري. And the light of my chest. وجلاء حزني. The banisher of my sadness. وذهاب همي. And the reliever of my distress. So with this dua, dear respected listeners, we are asking Allah Ta'ala by His names. Firstly, we are affirming what we are to Allah. All we are to Allah are His slaves, His ibad, sons of His male and female slaves. With that, we are asking Allah by every name of His that He has told us, and even those names of Allah Ta'ala which He has kept reserved, which He has not told us. And then we are asking for the greatest thing. We're asking about the Quran. And we're asking Allah Ta'ala that He makes this Quran of ours the very essence of life in our heart. Rabi' means spring. That's why in the months of the Islamic calendar, or even before the Arab calendar, you had Muharram, you had Safar, then you had Rabi'ul Awwal and Rabi'ul Thani. And that was basically the first spring and the second spring. So what happens in spring? What do we see when we and this is the second day of spring now. The months of winter are December, January and February, and from March, April, May, these are the months of spring. These are the months where now we will be able to see a change in the atmosphere, a change in the climate. Even just today, the temperature was around 14 degrees during the daytime. Why? Because now you'll see an increase in temperature, an increase in rain, and there will be blossoms. There will be blossoms that will be on the tree. The trees, the flowers will start to blossom. Life after the trees were dead for months, now these same trees are going to come back to life, and we will start to see those flowers blossoming. And there's a reason why. Why is it that every year the same cycle happens again and again? The whole purpose, and we know in the Quran Allah Ta'ala has told us that He created the entire world for us. هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُمْ مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. That whatever's in the world, every single thing in the world, Allah Ta'ala created for us. Lakum meaning for you, meaning Allah is addressing us that He created the entire world for us. And the purpose of this, like we've mentioned previously, purpose of this is that when we see the creation, this should lead us to understanding that there is a creator. And that is the purpose why these things, these changes happen in the sky. That is why these changes happen. That is why we see from spring it goes to summer, the peak, and then winter, autumn, around September, October, November time. After August, we have autumn, where the leaves start to go brown and they start to fall off the tree. And winter, where there are no leaves on the tree. And then after winter, we have spring again, where this life comes back. Why? What is that there? Why is that there? To show us that the same way these leaves, these trees die and then get resurrected, the same way Allah Ta'ala will resurrect us as well. Yeah, these signs have been put on the earth so that we can understand that there is a creator, that there is a bigger purpose to our existence. And our existence isn't just that we live on this earth, we eat, sleep, play, and then die, and then the story ends. No, the story begins when we die. And in the Quran as well, we see in Surah Hadid, where when Allah Ta'ala, and we mentioned this a few episodes ago, that Allah Ta'ala, there's an ayah of أَلَمْ يَأْنِ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَن تَخْشَعَ قُلُوبُهُمْ لِذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. That has the time not come for the hearts of man to become subservient to Allah. And the famous scholar Fudail bin Iyad, he heard this one ayah, and his entire life changed because of that. And after this ayah, Allah Ta'ala, what's the next ayah after this? Allah Ta'ala says, اعلموا أن الله يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. Know that Allah revives the earth after its death. قد بينا لكم الآيات لعلكم تعقلون. Verily we have explained these verses to you so that you may understand. So what's the link between the previous ayah mentioning about has the time not come for our hearts to worship Allah, to be subservient to Allah? And then the next ayah talks about Allah reviving the earth. So what's the link between both? So ulama and scholars they have said that the link between both is that the same way someone ponders over this earth being revived after its death, the same way Allah Ta'ala can revive our dead hearts. And we can get a spiritual revival inside of our own heart. And that is what this dua is essentially asking Allah Ta'ala. What does this dua say? Allahumma ja'al al-Qur'ana rabi'a qalbi. Allah, make the Qur'an the spring of my heart, meaning spring, the same way the heart was dead. Now when spring comes, the trees come to life. The same way, Ya Allah, make my heart alive for your worship. Wa nura sadri, and the light of my chest. That the Qur'an, it is a source of light. We know this. Allah has mentioned in the Qur'an. And Allah has called this Nur. And the same way Allahu nuru samawati wal ard, is Allah who illuminates the heavens and the earth. Similarly, and we've mentioned this before, that the Qur'an, it is whatever quality of Allah exists, the same quality can be applied to the Qur'an. So Allah is Al-Aziz, the Qur'an is also Al-Aziz. Allah is Al-Hakim, the Qur'an is also Al-Hakim, because the Qur'an is the ever-living, pre-eternal word of Allah. So the Qur'an is also Nur, it's mentioned in the Qur'an. أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكُمْ نُورًا مُبِينًا. We have revealed to you a clear, divine light. So with this Qur'an, we can attain this Nur inside of our hearts. And we ask Allah, this dua, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam asked Allah to grant him Nur, to make the Qur'an the Nur and the divine light of his beloved chest. Next part, وَجَلَاءَ حُزْنِي, the banisher of my sadness. The Qur'an is such a book of Allah Ta'ala, such a blessed word of Allah Ta'ala, that if someone is feeling sad, someone's feeling low, they're feeling depressed, then they shouldn't take antidepressants straight away. They shouldn't go to any counselor. What should we do if we are feeling sad and depressed? And sometimes we have this like sad feeling inside of us. Then what should we do? Dear respected listeners, the first thing we should do is turn to the Qur'an. Because it's from the Qur'an